This is the Tier 8 Swedish Premium Heavy Tank, the Tornvagn. Not the Tornvagn, the Tornvagn. There's a lot of people that try to pronounce the Kranvan as Kronvagn, and it irritates me so much. There's so many people I talk to, whether it's in VC or I watch YouTube videos, or people call it the Kronvagn and the Tornvagn. Stop it. Stop it right now. Get some help. With that aside, I'm going to be reviewing the tank in today's video, as it is currently for sale. It's an incredibly strong tank, but obviously only if you understand how to drive it properly. So I figured we'd start off with the most important thing when it comes to this vehicle, the armor profile. And it's actually surprisingly strong. We can see the mid plate, which is connected obviously to the lower plate, is a shot trap. It's 273 mils thick, and that is completely dead on. So if you're running heavies and you're not running calibrated shells, you're not going to be able to pen that. I mean, it's completely red. Especially if this thing just angles slightly. Look at how strong that frontal plate gets to. 280 mils. And these little corner cutouts, also angled, get upwards of 270. So essentially, the Tornvaaaan is very hard to pen on the weak spots. The only spot you should be shooting at this vehicle is either the lower plate or the sides and the lower half of the sides if the vehicle over angles. Apart from that, I would just suggest to run Cali on your heavies and load gold at the middle plate, because that's about as much as you're going to get. The whole superstructure of this vehicle is completely red. This is all auto ricochets against AP and APCR shells, and even if you're loading heat, I mean, it's upwards of 460, so good luck. You'll also notice that this vehicle has basically one of the strongest turrets in Tier 8. I mean, yeah, it does have a weak spot that's 290 millimeters thick, so again, if you're not running Cali, you're never going to pen the turret, literally ever. This little penetrable spot there isn't even part of the turret, it's part of the hull, so that's really not a weak spot either. Essentially, the Tornvaaaan is impossible for the majority of Tier 7s, and even vast majority of Tier 8s. It's only when you break into the Tier 8 tank destroyers that you actually get enough premium pen to cut through the vehicle's turret. But even then, if you hit the roof at all, you hit the gun, you're not going to pen the vehicle, and obviously standard shells are still not going to cut through the tank. So this is a very well armored vehicle. And it doesn't just stop there. The gun is also actually pretty solid for this vehicle. It features 400 damage per shot, and while the DPM's not great at around 1900 base, it's not awful. It's pretty average for a Tier 8 heavy. I am running calibrated shells, after all. But the pen is fantastic. 240 on the standard, 280 on the premium, all very good stuff. 10 degrees of gun depression, making it able to work on any ridgeline. And the part that surprises me the most is the fairly good aiming time of 4.4 seconds, paired with incredibly good .326 dispersion. .326 is not great. Like, obviously mediums are looking at .308 to .272. But you gotta keep in mind that this is a 400 alpha Tier 8 heavy. You want to look at another 400 alpha Tier 8 heavy? Okay, how about the 112 Glacial? Take a look at this vehicle's dispersion, .389 with 5.7 seconds of aiming time. Literally look at any heavy whatsoever that carries a 122 in Tier 8, and it's going to be dookie. 5.7 seconds, .389. Even looking at vehicles with less alpha, like the Bisante at 310 damage per shot, you're sitting at .344 dispersion. The AMX M449 of Tier 8 French Heavy, you have .335 dispersion. So it is incredibly impressive that this vehicle has not only great aiming time, but a fairly accurate gun for everything considered. It even gets better when it comes to mobility. On World of Tanks PC, this is known as a super slow vehicle, but in Blitz, it reaches a top speed of 37 and has a very solid power to weight of 16, allowing it to average over 31 kilometers per hour. It turns at a decent 38 degrees a second, and I mean, just about everything on the Tornvaaaan is surprisingly good. I really expected when this vehicle was first released it to be slow and really have a bad gun in terms of accuracy, but in reality it's got a very solid gun, and it's also got great armor, and it's got good mobility. Everything is very solid about this tank. I would easily rank this as one of the top 10 best heavies for winning in Tier 8. It's just so good. So obviously, I'm not just gonna say it's good. Let's see what we can do in the gameplay. Our first battle is on Yukon. Up against us, we have a Centurion 1, a G-Sor, 252. Okay, well, we're looking at the heavies. So we got the 252, VK100, and VK4503. pretty solid heavies. And I should point out that I am not in the honeymoon period for this vehicle. That is when you play your first 8 games or so. Wargaming gives you slightly better matchmaking, just because they want you to get a feel for the vehicle before you get put into the normal matchmaker. So this tank, I've already played about 20 or so games on my account. Because of that, we are no longer in at least the easiest of matchmaking. So we're going to make our way right over to these pile of woods, or pile of logs. I don't know what you call them, a stack of logs. We're going to go over to these logs. And we are going to see if anybody tries to make this crossing here. We spot the 252. There's an enemy light tank, a WZ-132. Not sure why that player's there, but a pretty easy shell into his tank. We can see just how perfectly this tank fits on this little concrete here. Essentially, we're not going to be shot. We got the VK in the back, and this is where that great aiming time and decent accuracy come into play. I mean, that is very well aimed in for a 400 alpha gun. You got to remember that. This is not your average heavy gun. It's actually a pretty solid one. So the VK is just so close to being shot, but doesn't really matter, I guess, because he's dead. We got the 252 off to the side. Ah! I praised the gun, and then it does that to me. Unfortunate. Well, the good news is that we can obviously just reload. I'm going to get in a bit of a side scrape here. 252 is probably going to try and shoot me in the lower plate, but we're going to angle. He does end up penning us, but we do get a bounce as well. And, yeah, I don't think that 252 really enjoyed that. He just got shot by the Emil once, got shot by him twice. Is he going to get the finishing blow? No, he doesn't, but that's fine, because the 252 shot. We're going to load a premium shell and confirm the kill on his vehicles. Either way, pretty solid stuff so far. Our T-28 prototype is going to finish off the enemy tank there. We do see that the Super Hellcat is camping in the back, so we're going to back up, aim in an HE on his vehicle, and bonk him. Very big low roll. This thing has 500 average damage with the HE. So the fact that we only rolled 427, pretty lackluster to be completely real, but that's fine. We got the VK100 off to the side, who we're going to push towards. We're going to get one easy pen into his turret. Now we're just going to kind of face hug him, or I guess even side hug, which is much easier to do in this type of tank, because he has to shoot at a very narrow turret. And all we need to do is get on his side and aim in a shell, although it actually looks like we don't have the gun depression. I guess we're too tall. We don't have the gun depression to shoot him in the side, which is not what I expected, but we should be fine. Although, you know what, we have a G-SOR rolling off to our side. I don't really want that, so we're just going to back on up, get a nice pen into his vehicle, and I don't know if he can overmatch our engine deck. He probably can, but again, I don't want to be shot by that G-SOR. So for now, good, there you go. Great example of this vehicle's super solid hull armor. Let's just aim in a shell, standard shell right into the VK100, although it basically was a premium shell by how much it low rolled. Let's just show him the lower plate. There you go, nice. The Emil one finishes him off. Just like that, a pretty solid game. We didn't really get to use the vehicle hull down, but it's a great example on how even with flat ground, the vehicle's armor is surprisingly good. We fire an HE shell into the G-SOR and finish him off. So we only had one troll moment with the gun. We shot at the 252 and it went under him, but to be fair, I wasn't fully aimed in, so really not too bad. 3,370 damage dealt, 810 blocked, which is a decent amount, judging that we only got shot like twice. So overall, not a bad result at all for the Tornvaaaan. I just think this is an absolutely amazing vehicle. Everything about it is so good. And sure, it might not be the most exciting tank, but if you're going for wins, this is definitely a vehicle that I would put high on your radar. If I'm not mistaken, Wargaming's asking, what, 12,500 gold for the vehicle with the bundle? We can take a look. Yeah, so it's 12,500 gold with the bundle, and it's 10,000 without. Really, it's up to you if you want to buy the bundle, if you plan on getting this tank. I mean, the camo's hideous in my opinion, so the only reason I would get it is for the ×5 boosters and for the equipment. Here's the great thing about the 25 ×5 boosters. Normally, Wargaming screws you, and they're only applied to this tank. But as you can read, it says applies to all tanks at the bottom, which means if you're actually planning on grinding, those are a nice addition for the 2,500 extra gold. But if you don't care about the XP and you got plenty of credits, obviously don't buy the camo with the tank. It's a waste of gold, especially because I think it's the ugliest camo literally ever. So yeah, I would just suggest ignore the camo, buy the tank for 10k gold, and that's the best way you can do it. Is it worth 10,000 gold? It's an okay deal. I mean, we just had the T-77 offered for 8,500 gold, so I can't say compared to the T-77 that this is an amazing deal, but it's not bad. It's pretty average is what I'd say. If you like the playstyle and you think it's a really good tank, and you've got double gold bundles available, which means you'll get double the gold for the same price, then it's not too bad, but I wouldn't say just go throw your money at the vehicle. Here we are in our second battle. Up against us we have a KV4, a Shark, and a Tiger 2. Just for tier 8s, that's pretty strong, heavy lineup. Then we go to tier 7s, they have a Smasher and a Tiger 2. That creates 5 heavies and 2 tank destroyers. Where are the mediums? Apparently Wargaming doesn't like mediums. So that's interesting. We also have 5 heavies, plus a heavily armored TD, making... Actually, no, we have 2 heavily armored TDs. We also have a Semovente. So we essentially have 7 heavies on our team versus 5 heavies on theirs. We should win this. I'm almost 100% confident we'll win. If we don't, I'll eat a shoe on live stream. I'm going to make my way directly into the dip aggressive. Now this is a very, very aggressive maneuver, and I wouldn't always suggest to do it. But when I realize that my entire team is pushing here, then I think I can get away with pushing in this position as we have a decent chunk of support. So we're going to aim it on the KV4, we're going to load a premium shell, and that guarantees the fact that I can pen into his turret. Now we know he's running the 122 due to his gun caliber, so we can just chill here and stay hull down. This KV4 literally can't do anything to us unless he drives all the way over the ridge, which it turns out he's going to do, but this still doesn't really threaten me all too much, as the KV4 really doesn't have a lot of pen. He gets shot, the Tiger 2 appears like he might jump down. If he does, well, there's not much I can do about that, but we can just back on up. Tiger 2 gets wedged there, and we're just going to back up to a point where he's no longer going to be able to hit us. Alright, let's get a shell into the KV4. There you go, nice shot finishing him off. And now we can just chill in front of the Tiger 2. Let's just keep him wedged here if we can. It looks like he is eventually going to be able to back off. But if we can keep him wedged in this spot, it'll be very hard for him to obviously cut through our armor. And we can just pen right through his upper plate. So far, we've done a very solid job of giving our team the freest farm ever. I don't know why these 2 players thought they could get away with YOLOing me, but that's why I went into the dip. I basically gave my team a free win. Alright, well, we got the enemy Tiger 1 in front of us, and, okay, that made, like, 0 sense. The Tiger's just gonna go past us. Okay, very interesting. Well, because of that, he gets absolutely crapped on by the Smasher. We're gonna back up so he can't shoot me in my weak lower plate, and we finish him off. I still don't know how we bounced the Tiger with that shot, but it's fine. We're still healthy. We're at 2,200 damage at this point, and we're just going to reload. The enemy Smasher is going to poke us, try to shoot him in the turret cheek. Unfortunately, the shell does not go where we want it to, but again, not really much we have to worry about. I mean, the Borsig's getting shot at. The Smasher just fired, which means we don't have to worry about this player at all. So we're going to get an easy shell right into the Smasher's turret. Bit of a low roll for 340, but it's a pen nonetheless. We're going to reload again. We got the Semovente in the back, and we also have the Borsig in the front. Okay, well, the Borsig is running Spall. We can see that from our teammate, so if he does back up just a slight bit, there you go. Nice 426 shell, and he's gone. We're up to 3,000 damage at this point. There's still a fairly healthy Shark and an Emil somewhere, but we're going to try and deal with the Shark first. So we're going to poke him. We're going to aim in right on his side armor. Unfortunately, it goes just a wee bit high. But, again, doesn't really make too much of a difference. We're still plenty healthy. Oh my god, the Sturmill just got crapped on. Alright, well, we can see the Shark just fired. I could shoot him in the weak hatch, or I can just over-poke and shoot him in the turret. Or, not the turret, sorry, it's the lower plate, because it doesn't really matter. Our 10 degrees of gun depression makes it impossible for the Shark to be able to pen me. So now, at this point, we're just going to drive to his side and get another easy pen into his vehicle for 382. Alright, well, we're up to 3,800 damage at this point. T-28's on the side, and the Smasher HE'd him. Not a bad game at all. The Smasher was actually pretty decent on our team. He penned a lot of shots, he hit some HE, and he covered us very well. That Tiger 2 and KV4 clearly were out of their minds on trying to kill me there. It's the classic 40%er move. Ooga booga, I see tank and dip, I YOLO the tank. It worked out well. We did our jobs. We bounced a lot. Again, this is just a super solid tank. Its armor is strong. It's got great hull down capabilities. A lot of things about this tank just allow it to do so dang well. So I would highly recommend for anybody that likes this type of playstyle to consider picking this vehicle up. Again, I can't say it's anything overpowered or, you know, ridiculously busted, but it is definitely in the strong, super strong category, and it's definitely one of the better heavies if you want to win, especially if you understand how to play it. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.